now someone who's very near and dear to me, the mother of my child, Ariel Bigstead.
Hi, Zoom people.
Oh yeah, hello, sir.
What's up? Thank you all so much for coming. Am I starting here?
Sweetie, you're in charge, or I will be, whatever you like.
All right. Well,
that's how marriages work for you young people. Your wife turns to you and says, "What do you want?" You say, "Whatever you want, sweetie."
So I realized, yeah. Thank you. So I want to tell one really quick story, and then we're each going to tell you about the two first people that entered this program last year. They were juniors when they entered. But the first story I want to tell is actually quickly about my dad. So my dad was the first person in his family to go to college. My grandmother was a single parent who ran a store and had no time to deal with anything. And my dad had no idea what he wanted to be, anything. My grandmother found out about a local organization where you could go and take a test, and the test would tell you what career might be good for you. So my dad took a test, and the test said, you would be a good architect.
Guess what he does today? Guess what he does today? He's an architect, yes.
And my dad had never drawn. He didn't know he was good at math, nothing. But they were right. There was something in this test that revealed what he was actually good at. And he ended up going to state college in the state where he grew up, and then to graduate school for architecture. And today he is a successful architect. So it really shows the power of both local programs and identifying what you actually want to be in your life.
And seeing a future for yourself.
Seeing a future.
That's so huge.
Yeah.
So I would say a couple of years ago, there was this terrible scandal at a big college where these rich people paid $500,000 to get their kid in school. It made me so mad. Like, they took somebody else's spot. That wasn't right. So I said, you know what? We know lots of people just in our area who don't have the money to pay somebody. So I thought, well, I'm going to give people who don't have money the same unfair advantages that rich people have. So we're both writers, and we have a business where we help people with their writing, editing, and coming up with ideas.
And we were tutors for 60 together.
And we were tutors for 60
in their regular program.
And every Wednesday we went to the library and worked with kids, and we loved it. It was so great. We had such great times there. So we decided to start this college essay program where we would work with kids who were juniors in high school and help them figure out how to write their college essay. And once we did this, and we'll tell you the story about our two kids that we worked with, we realized that that was just a little part of the program. Because once you do the college essay, you got a great college essay. How do you apply? Like one of the kids I'm working with today, he doesn't even know how to get online to sign up for his SATs. So today I spent we're going to the website, we're doing all this stuff is so complicated. It's really difficult to do, filling out a college application.
And there's so much to do. It's really overwhelming, which we experienced. Our child isn't old enough to go to college yet, but we experienced it through this program of how much one has to do and how important it is to have support as you do it.
So that's why this whole got wrapped around into the 8th grade, which I think is just fantastic, and through the end of high school. So do you want to tell us that story?
Sure. So I started working in his junior year with a kid named Zaki, who was so quiet, very shy, that our first session together, I think he might have said 4 words to me. But I got out of him that he was a great math and science student. That's what he loved, but he hated to write. The idea of this college essay was the worst thing that he could ever imagine. And worse than that was that he had to talk about himself. And he hates talking about himself so much. So maybe the second session, I found out that he loves to run. He's on the track team at school. So we started talking, and we came up with this idea what do you want to run from and what do you want to run to? And he ended up writing the most beautiful essay. It would make you cry if you read this essay, and figuring out where he wanted to go in his life, which he had no idea about. And how did we help figure this out? Through conversation, through writing, but I made him go online and take a test, just like my dad did, to say, what kinds of things do you think would be interested in? And that test came out where 4 of the 5 things were all in engineering. So suddenly he had a direction. He had never thought about engineering as a possibility, even though he was so good at math and science, straight A's in these subjects. So suddenly we started to think, okay, engineering, what does that mean? Well, NJIT, which is one of the best engineering schools in the country, here in New Jersey, and a public college, meaning that it's far cheaper to go to NJIT than to a private college, was just a 20-minute ride away. And Zaki is a kid who wasn't ready to go off to school and live at college his first year. His first year, he's going to live at home and then go from there. So Zaki applied to probably 7 colleges.
First of all, the person that we talked to who was in the business of helping people said Zaki's not going to get into any college. He might not even get into community college.
Yeah.
Said it like it was a fact.
Yeah. Anyway, he got into every single school he applied to. He got funding from every school.
He's going to make money. He's getting so much money by going to college.
He actually, because he got other scholarships outside of the funding, he actually is going in with extra resources for books and et cetera. So it's the most wonderful story because here was this amazing kid, so smart, so talented. He just needed a little push here and there to figure out what he was and what he wanted to be and everything. So it was really a wonderful story. That said, it was so much work.
It was over a year. She's compressing it. This is every single week for a year.
And Tony here and I worked together with his incredible aunt, who is his guardian, to figure all this stuff out. And now we have a base to help everybody here, so that as we accumulate knowledge and we've spoken to all kinds of experts in the field, that we can now pass this knowledge along.
We also realize how important it is to have the family involved, because Zaki could not have done this without his aunt.
Yeah.
So our idea is to get everybody in the family who wants to participate on board with this, and for them to be in the loop and contributing.
And that was thanks to COVID.
Yeah.
Because we were doing it via Zoom, our sessions, and his aunt happened to be there, so we would start talking. If otherwise, we would have just been in the library with Zaki, and we wouldn't have realized that aspect of it.
So I had this student, her name was Safi, and she was almost like the opposite of Zaki. She's very talkative, and she's really articulate. She's really smart. She's funny. She wanted to, I was like, well, what do you want to do? I want to make some money. I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm on board for that. So I worked with her on her essay. She wrote a first essay that was so good about being bullied at school that I got it published in the newspaper. It was that good. That's how good it was. And she said, I don't want to do that for my college thing. Everybody writes about bullying. So she wrote about her name, Safiatu. No one could pronounce her name, and they used to make fun of her and tease her about it. She had to invent a whole new name. So I'm like, wow. And this is, we came up with these ideas just from talking to the people. Like, we don't impose our ideas on them. We go, who are you? What do you want? And out of that comes the essay. That's the way we work. And so we started thinking about, like, your name. It's who you are. It's your identity. Who are you out in the world? And people wouldn't let her be who she was. So she had to invent this whole other personality. And I realized that writing this college essay, it's about everybody identifies themselves by a story they tell. Who are you? Well, my parents came from here, and I grew up here, and I went to school here. It's a story that you tell about yourself. And the story you tell about yourself determines who you are and who you're going to be. So we worked really hard on this essay, and I was so pleased with it when we got done. So she was all nervous. Where am I going to get into school? She wanted to go to Howard, was her top choice. And everyone said, oh, you probably won't get in. Don't worry. She got into Howard. She got into Drexel. She got into Penn State. She got into Fordham. She got into all these big, huge schools. Almost everywhere she applied, she got in. Of course, there was much celebration amongst all of us. And then I kept saying, oh, what about money? And I never heard back from her. Well, it turns out, as Marcia was saying, she just didn't know how to follow through to get scholarships and to get money. So now, right now, we're putting together a GoFundMe program for her to raise the money for her to get to Howard. But if we'd had her since the 8th grade and been working on this, we could have gotten her all these scholarships. The deadline is passed on all these scholarships that she could have gotten just because we didn't start early enough, which is why I'm loving this idea of starting with the 8th grader. But mark my words, she will be going to Howard if it's the last thing I do, ladies and gentlemen. So I think that's us. We're done. Okay, yeah. So those are our 2 success stories. There's others, but we'll stop at those. And I'd like to bring on Tony if I could now. Yeah. Thank you, Tony Martin.
As you can see, the importance of mentors. I mean, these guys, right? And that's what we're going to build. We're going to build a team of mentors like that who will be with you from the beginning. Not just you young people, you families. One of the things that I learned throughout all of this is we can't count on the kids to figure it all out. You know, it's too hard. We need to train the families what to look for, make checklists, what you've got to get done by when. And if you need some help in figuring out how to access help, somebody you just call. You call your mentor. You can tell them your fears. You can tell them your intimate financial stuff if needs be, and they will find the help you need. Now, about these mentors, some of you are here thinking about becoming mentors. We're going to help train you too. We have some wonderful people who are going to do Zoom programs sometimes, and we're going to be running, as Marcia mentioned, a series of programs for the whole Pathways Forward family. And some of those will be specifically aimed at tutors and how they can help. Others will be for you young people, these skills that we talk about together. Okay, what are these skills? Study skills, I always hear people say. Okay, so what we mean by that is, again, you make yourself a calendar. I know it sounds basic, but it can get more than basic when you get to high school. We had Zaki working on a spreadsheet, an Excel spreadsheet, for how much time he had to study for his AP physics exam based on the amount of hours he had per day, you know, and it was weighted and all this. I mean, it was, well, I couldn't have done that, but, you know, we found somebody who helped him do it. When you're in 8th grade or 9th grade, what that means is a regular calendar and certain skills such as, are any of you aware of the Pomodoro, where you sit, give yourself, you know, a certain amount of time on your cell phone with this program. I'm going to study science, which I hate, for 30 minutes, and I can't get up until the bell dings. And, you know, then you think, well, 30 minutes, I can stand it, you know, I can get through that, you know, that kind of skill and technique. Another thing we'll be working on is teaching you how to advocate for yourself. So, I mean, everybody, you hit something new, you're intimidated, and you don't want to be saying, would you please help me all the time in the class? So anything like that, any intimidation things that you encounter, talk to your mentor. Tell them, I can't get over in this class because I don't understand the teacher. So you talk about different ways that you can deal with that. Access to information. This one's as much for the kids as it is for the young people, your parents, your custodians. You need to know where to go, where the resources are. Well, we started during COVID helping kids tour colleges online, and they would say, David would say, well, where do you want to go? And the kid would go, and so we would say, okay, well, what are you interested in? So then we would take these virtual tours, and we would learn a lot through that. And, you can do real physical tours now, I hope. Mm-hmm. Fingers crossed. The last part is this group, this Pathways Forward family is going to become an information sharing network. You will share with each other at our monthly meetings. You will talk about what comes up for one, might be relevant to another. Kids, same for you. We're in this together. We're on this pathway together. And there will be a lot more of you than we're able to come out on a hotline. We're excited about this, and it's going to grow.